Hello, this is Reverend Mandy Arwen, and I'm here to tell you there is a better way. Using our free will, we as individuals, and indeed as a society, have a choice. Our choice is this: when coming face to face with evil, we can choose to enter into conflict, greet hate with our own hate, meet anger and resentment with more anger and resentment, enter into this arena with the same low and unevolved consciousness being aimed at us, or do something absolutely radical. We can choose to follow Jesus' instructions, enter into prayer, bless our adversaries, meet hate and evil with love, basically come at this situation from Christ qualities. It has been said so wisely, we can't solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it in the first place. So what really and truly works? The power of a blessing. To bless someone or something is to send God and Jesus to divinely intervene. What could possibly be more profoundly effective than divine intervention? Divine protection, divine assistance, and divine guidance. I can't think of anything. God and Jesus Christ are the most powerful and influential energies everywhere and anywhere. What is human action and human thought processes in comparison to the divine? Prayer works. Group prayer is especially powerful and effective. Rather than facing hate, resentment, fury, human strategy, I am suggesting doing things more powerfully and effectively, following the Jesus example. Gather in enormous, gigantic groups and ask God for protection, guidance, assistance, intervention, and the like. God and Jesus Christ are the solutions here. Americans can be very secular and therefore poo-poo the invisible. Spirit, prayer, divine intervention, divine interaction, miracles, blessings, grace. However, those of us who believe and have faith in spirit, the invisible to our human eyes, know without a doubt that prayer, while an unseen energy, is powerful beyond measure. Do not wait for God and Jesus Christ to swoop in and rescue America without a whole lot of Americans praying and asking them to do so. If they took care of our problems before we even prayed, we would learn nothing, and we would not be forced to connect and commune with them. Isn't that the whole point? Humbling ourselves and recognizing that we need help, that we can't do life on our own. I believe it is. My dear friends, this is a test. How we proceed is going to determine whether we pass. Going to war with the evil is not God's way. It is the human answer to most conflict. It doesn't bring peace, harmony, or justice. It breeds more pain, competition, and loss. Inviting and asking the divine to guide us, to protect us, to assist us, and to intervene brings solutions we didn't think of, brings blessings rather than more chaos, brings miracles, not dysfunction. Dear friends, place your trust in God and Jesus Christ. Why? Because these are the things that are worth believing in. Why put your faith in war, conflict, competition, brute force, pain, more pain, loss, and utter darkness when the light is equally available to each of us? Even non-believers can embrace light over dark. Yes? Yes, yes, yes? Let's use this horrific situation in America to show we are growing both personally and spiritually. Do we want peace or violence as we proceed? Because of the law of attraction, like attracts like, whatever we emanate and send out energetically is going to be returned to us, perhaps multiplied and exponentially. The more hate, negativity, anger, resentment Americans emanate, the more powerful the resistance will become. And if we escalate, they will escalate. War, conflict, hate, violence, not exactly the God qualities, are they? May I encourage you not to poo-poo the spiritual and to embrace what so many of us already know works. Prayer works. The divine works. God and Jesus Christ are the most valuable assets that we have. If you desire to feel very powerful, here, have a heartfelt prayer session and ask on behalf of America for God and Jesus' miracles and solutions and healing. Then you will feel and indeed be powerful. Thank you for letting me share this with you. Now, I want to tell you why I believe prayer works with some examples and stories. There is an entire book called Prayer Works, filled with thank you notes from ever so grateful people who called Silent Unity during a crisis and received a miracle and answered prayer. Silent Unity prays over the phone with you and sends your prayer request into a prayer chapel. Group prayer is given for 30 days, 24/7, and Silent Unity is a heaven sent. Groups around the planet have been formed to pray and meditate on peace for specific locations. Several hours or days of prayer and peace meditation, and the locale was proven and reported to have become peaceful for a long period of time. Less ER visits, less traffic accidents, less police less reporting of police of violent crimes, etc., etc. Florence Scovel Shinn reminded me, goodwill produces a strong aura of protection. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Love and goodwill disable the enemy. There is peace on earth to those who send goodwill to men. Another example of prayer working. Because of a house fire 2 Septembers ago, my adult kids and me, our dogs, had to move into a hotel. Our insurance company went about looking for a rental for us to stay in while the house was being rebuilt. I was bold. I prayed that I would receive a rental I could afford easily, that was clean and elegant, spacious, Mandy-esque, had flooring, not carpeting, a large grassy, fully fenced backyard, had a real bedroom, not a studio, was in a great location, a great neighborhood, had gay-friendly neighbors, and a gourmet kitchen. Within a month and a half, we were placed in a mansion that had a full apartment downstairs for me and Bingo. It had absolutely everything on my request list, including a huge bedroom, a gourmet kitchen, an enormous grassy, fully fenced backyard. It was more than affordable. It was free for a whole year. And as far as being gay-friendly, 2 doors down on one direction, there was the rainbow gay flag flying in the yard. And 2 houses in the other direction was a gay couple, 2 women who were married with their kids living in the house with them. Another example that prayer works. At one time, I found socializing with my 30-something-year-old kids a bit daunting. There was constant talk about video gaming, movies I would never agree to watch. Just a huge generation gap, making me wary. I decided to use prayer. I prayed that my kids and I engage in conversation that was interesting to all of us, that the topics be more elevated and mature, more meaningful and positive in nature. A few days later, I found myself in a very long, absolutely delightful conversation with them about travel and making our dreams come true. It was the best communicating we had ever done and was filled with smiling faces, enthusiasm, and hope. The prayers continued, and so did the elevated conversations. Prayer works. Years ago, I lived platonically with my ex-husband. He developed cancer and eventually died in 2019. At the start of his cancer, a relative who absolutely adored Ted and thought he treated me so very well took it upon herself to pray a very powerful and heartfelt prayer requesting that due to Ted's beautiful soul and how well he treated me, he have absolutely no pain throughout his cancer. I kid you not. I was there daily until the end, and he never experienced pain. Prayer works. Are you convinced yet? Here's a fun one. I use YouTube to watch movies and spiritual lectures by famous teachers. All of a sudden, the infrequent, annoying moments that you have to click, skip, became rampant. It seemed like every few minutes I was interrupted with ads. It was ridiculous. I didn't wait very long. I prayed and requested that the ads cease and not interrupt my YouTube time anymore. A few days later, they were gone. They absolutely disappeared. I changed nothing on my computer or YouTube watching. The ads went away for years. Prayer works. I want to prove to you that blessing people and situations also works. Here are some examples. As a junior high choir teacher, I started blessing the students on the way to school daily. Suddenly, the kids were calmer, more cooperative, more enthusiastic, and there was no more need to discipline them. The blessing works. A client told me she was being verbally harassed and betrayed publicly by a neighbor. I had her bless the woman over and over again, silently and in her heart. She suddenly received a verbal apology and a gift basket from the woman days later. The blessing works. Bless our American crisis. Bless our government. Bless our Senate. Well, I can hear some of you now. Well, they don't deserve my blessing. Why should I bless them? They don't deserve it. And to this I say to those of you who declare this, you're missing the whole point. Adding to the power of a blessing stories. I had a client who hired me to do a reading for her. During the session, she frantically told me that her supervisor was a tyrant, constantly fussing at her and her performance, cutting her self-worth down, being intimidating, and she asked me what to do. I instructed her to bless this woman silently in her mind and heart, over and over again, and let me know what happens. A week later, I received my confirmation. Guess what, she said, I kept blessing her, and today, when I got into work, I found out that she had been transferred to another department. The blessing works. You see, when you bless a person or bless a problem, one of two things can happen. Either the person or situation will leave your life, or will turn around and become a blessing to you. It's not whether the other person deserves your blessing, it's whether you want God's intervention or not. Thank you, and amen.